Welcome back to the first weekly news roundup of 2025. Because this is the week between Christmas and New Year and things like that, it is a little bit lighter on the news this week, but that is perfectly fine, perfectly okay. We can deal with that. In fact, I didn't even find enough privacy news. There was one, it was hyper political. I mean, I'll leave that one out. But we will be talking security, data breaches, AI, business, and silly news today, and fairly small amount of articles today. But there's a few of them I really have some fun and possibly heated things to talk about. So hopefully y'all are into that. Anyway, these are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to catch the show live. But we are going to go ahead and dive right on into security news. Of course, the U.S. Treasury Department was hacked this week, and it is allegedly from a China state-based actor, or at least a China-based. However, China said, hey, we had nothing to do with it. And they offered their services to figure out who it was. We do know it was from China. Some people are saying it's a state-sponsored. China's denying it is state-sponsored. The other thing we don't know, a lot of these hacks we kind of know, usually it's the third-party vendor. This one was, once again, a third-party vendor from a company called Beyond Trust. Apparently, we can't trust Beyond Trust. Don't go beyond trust. You will go plaid like in Spaceballs and exceed, whale around it, flip through the universe and come right back to where you were. Okay, that's what happens if you're beyond trust. And that's exactly what happened here. A threat actor stole the key used by Beyond Trust. And what they were able to do from here is get in. So this is basically it's kind of like, you can think of it as like a Linux terminal, right? This is effectively a terminal, a way to get into remote sessions on some desktops. Now, only certain desktops were accessed, and when Beyond Trust discovered this, they just logged everything out universally. But anything on those particular computers could have potentially been stolen during the time of the breach. So effectively, we don't know exactly what it is. Were they working on whom they should target in their next auditing wave, or were they doing that would be more IRS end? Are they doing things related to government budgetary? Are there secret things? Will we finally get leaked out of China why a screwdriver from the government costs over $1,000? Will we get that information? That would be interesting to see. But overall, we don't know exactly to the limit of everything that was in there, but we don't actually have any other real details other than, once again, third-party breach. This is why you have to be very careful with your third parties. A new type of, more or less a modified type of breach. This is the double-click jacking. So we had click jacking. There's ways around it. Now we have a double-click jacking event. And so what happens here is you get into a malicious page, and then the malicious page is effectively going to launch up some form of verification, whether it's a human verification or an OAuth verification. But then it's going to give you a page and then load another page on top of it. And they're going to tell you to double click this button. And what's going to happen is you hit the click, and between the millisecond it takes you to double click, it's going to click once, close the window, and then you're going to click authorize on a button and compromise your whole system. That's how this one works. So you first land on the attacker's landing page. I think there's a bigger picture. Let's make it bigger. So you first land on the attacker's landing page here, and then this launches a double click prompt. So it does a little timeout. It opens the individual target page, and then it does a location change. So it's going to do a prompt and then another prompt on top of it, giving you a parent and a child page. And then when you double click on it, the first click closes the top button and the second click lands on the target site, having you click right in the spot where you were just at. And so here's actually a little bit of video how this works. And so you can see that they're over here on, this is a Salesforce account being taken over. And so he launches into the account. This is a captcha verification, double click it. So if you notice here really quick, you click it and then you hit the click, it closed the window, and the second click hit in authorize, and you have just authorized a third malicious party to use the service. So if you've ever done something like, add this particular service to YouTube, and you got to log in with Google and then click the button to say, I authorize this account to use this. Well, if you're doing that, anything that account can do, it can get in there and see and view and use whatever data. Well, that's effectively what's going on, is you are allowing a malicious actor in there by double clicking, and you didn't get a chance to actually see what the page was or verify anything. It just went in there and did it. So there's a new malicious thing. It's being used to take over. In that case, it was a Salesforce account, and they could use it for other types of accounts as well. Now into our chief security article. This is actually an updated article, and one came out earlier in the week about, I think it was like 17 or so, 15, 17 Google Chrome extensions that were hijacked. But after further investigation, we know that number one, it's actually up to 35 that we know of. And number two, the breach has been going on for a lot longer than we initially thought. I think going back like 2022 2022, I think. So the initial reports, starting with a phishing attack. So what they're doing is they're targeting the developers of various extension developers. Let's see if they actually have the email here. Yeah, this is the email. And so they get this email, which looks very legitimate. So you can see it's, was it Chrome Web Store - no reply at, what's this? Chrome4extension.com, I think it says. So this looks legitimate. This actually looks like it is a Google message, and it basically says, hey, your extension is in violation of these particular terms. Go to the policy. But if you actually hovered over this and looked, you can see it's going to some weird site that's certainly not Chrome related. But if one of the developers, any developer with access to the information, clicks on this, it's going to do that cookie stealing session, and you're going to effectively let them into your developer account for your Chrome extensions. And then what they're doing is they're grabbing the code, making one malicious change, and then re-uploading the same code with just a minor malicious change. So in this particular one, it was the privacy policy. Hold on. That was not the name of the application. So the OAuth application named Privacy Policy Extension was used to grant permissions. This is the one that is a malicious account able to get in. And once they were able to get in there, then, and this, by the way, they had the Google Advanced Protection enabled and multi-factor authentication covering the account. So we were told all this bill of goods that the MFA is going to solve all these problems. Now, MFA is nothing. It's nothing more than an annoyance for us. It doesn't stop the malicious actors. So what has happened here is the one extension that they found, actually, this is a different article than the first one I read. It was actually a extension for a security site, actually, like a very well-known security site. And they end up getting in there and making a change. Now, the company caught the change in about an hour, but anybody who had their extension set to auto update and had an update between like 12 midnight and 1 a.m., I think it was on December 26th, you had the malicious version of that installed. And so here's a fun security tip. Turn those auto updaters off and just make sure that you have the time in your update policy to go into your extensions and make sure that they are up to date. It's always better to control when you're doing updates, because if a malicious thing, I mean, think about the CrowdStrike bug that happened this summer, right? That happened because everything was set to auto update. Whereas if you waited until things were stable and you knew there were no problems, boom, you're not being compromised by anything. Anyway, right now we have a list of like 35 different extensions, and one of those extensions actually goes back. Where was that at? It was in the other one. I think the Security Affairs article was actually a little bit better. But we know that this is 2.6 million people had installed these 35 extensions, and we know that it goes back, let's see, so the control subdomain found by Bleeping Computer existed as far back as 2024, but actually one of the articles I read had suggested that one of the extensions had actually been compromised back in 2023, and the malicious version was still on the Chrome store. And I forget which one that is. So be careful and only install the extensions you really, really need to install. All right, let's have a look over at our data leaks next. First up, Rhode Islanders' data was leaked from a cyber attack on a state health benefits website. We have precious little information about this. They're not telling us how the compromise occurred. Was it a third party like the state treasury? What was it? Just somebody had insecure data? Was it an insecure AWS calendar? I don't know. And yes, if you're new around here, I don't call them AWS buckets. Those things leak all the time. They're AWS calendars. Come on. They got to strain their spaghetti through there. Let all that data leak right on out the bottom. But they didn't actually tell us any information except what was stolen. Effectively, the data was leaked and had already been posted to the dark web by the time they discovered this. And what had been compromised is effectively anything dealing with down here, the Rhode Island Bridges, Medicaid, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, so SNAP, Temporary Assistance for Needy, Child Care Assistance Program, Rhode Island Works, Long-Term Services and Supports, and At-Home Cost Share Program, and health insurance purchased through Health Source Rhode Island. Isn't it wonderful that Obamacare forces us to have insurance? And when we're forced to buy this insurance, causing all the prices, of course, to go up. And now that we are going to like the government ones because they're cheaper for us, and then they don't know how to secure our data. And so they say, well, the data has been compromised. It doesn't mean it's been used for identity theft purposes yet. Yeah, okay, guys, other than like a credit card number, nobody's stealing the data and immediately turning around. You're stealing the data, you're putting it in databases, you're selling it, and you're using it for either targeted or other things. I think back to this one here. Let's rant on this one for a moment. If you are a small business owner and you're not following the FinCEN issue right now, in fact, very few people even know about this. The law passed under the under the Biden administration in 2021 requires every small business, if you have an LLC, an S Corp, any small business, you're required, the law says you are required to register your beneficiary with a BOI report with the federal government, giving them copies of your license to protect the world from malicious actors. Of course, there's an article I was going to talk about last week in the news. I threw it out at the last minute. I'm still going to do a video on it eventually. But now, because of the FinCEN coming out, the number one things people are stealing right now is all of these companies now requiring you, like, the PH website and several of the states requiring you to upload your driver's license. Yeah, they're stealing all those now so they can still have the shell corporations and just put your name on the FinCEN report. So when they're doing something illegal, the FBI is going to crash your door in thinking you're the one behind the illegal activity. Fortunately, as of right now, we originally had until January 1st to file it. There was an injunction that paused it, and then the government came back and overturned the injunction. Then we had till just January 13th to run the report, and it has been injuncted again, and there will not be any more movement on the FinCEN report until March of 2025 when the injunction hearing goes through. So keep an eye on it, guys. If you run any company that's a small business, you need to file a FinCEN report with the government. Just keep an eye out there for March. It's all available. I think it's like fincen.gov or something like that. Just look up your FinCEN BOI report if you need verification, and they'll actually updating you with the lawsuit cases right now. So right now it's all voluntary. So if it's voluntary, I am not voluntarily sending my ID up to the government in the FinCEN BOI report. I'm going to wait until it's absolutely mandatory. But this is the type of stuff that they're doing with that. They're taking all this stuff. How many of these people have had to give their ID to the state? And if all these things leaked, guess what? All these Rhode Island guys have these businesses now with the BOI reports. And now, anytime these guys are now committing illegal crimes with their shell corporations, they're going to come pound on your door because your ID was compromised because of the state. Wonderful. Isn't this great, folks? Data leaks are awesome. Let me know in the comments if you didn't know about that FinCEN report, because I have not talked to very few people who are aware of it. I knew about it because A, it was on the conspiracy theory Glenn Beck, but B, my registered agent who I pay to keep things more anonymous alerted me to it as well. And so it's very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Well, I included this one because Zagg is a computer technology type store. If you've purchased anything from Zagg in the past, then they do like cell phone cases, screen protectors, things like that. Well, they had a data leak. Effectively, there was a breach in big commerce. So I'm not sure if this is affecting just them and their particular setup, or if it was all of big commerce, but the breach came down through that. And for a couple of months, let's see. So the breach was spotted in November 8th when the e-commerce company noticed it. So threat actors targeted transactions made between October 26th and November 7th. So if you've bought something from Zagg.com between those dates, you possibly have had all of your information compromised, which is in this case credit card numbers and emails, addresses, things like that. Basically the order details through that. So if you are using Zagg or have used Zagg between those dates, you probably have been made aware of this by now, but just be aware of that circumstance. And with that, let's have a look over at AI news next. So the first one is there was this article this week claiming that there's a 0-day vulnerability. It's kind of this Twitter troll that jumps up and he's just like, I'm going to release 0-day bugs all week long. That's what he said. And the first one, he jumped down and said, there's a 7-zip 0-day and I'm posting it. And the 7-zip developer looks and says, no, this is nonsense. And then there was some debate about it online over the internet, and some people were saying, "Oh, 7-zip is compromised. Don't use it. Whatever else." That's a bunch of nonsense. Effectively, this was an AI hallucination. Yep. Somebody's just asking ChatGPT, "Hey, look at vulnerabilities in this code," and ChatGPT didn't see anything. So, like ChatGPT always does when it doesn't see anything you're prompting it about, it just makes crap up. Isn't that wonderful? Of course, don't forget, I've always told you guys this. AI is trained on the worst news of our society. It is trained on the worst elements of our society, which means that when it makes something up, it makes up something bad about you, not something good about you. You've never seen an AI hallucination accusing somebody of building a children's orphanage. No, it accuses them of S-word misconduct instead. And so we have serious warnings about this. Well, you're asking ChatGPT, hey, find me an error in 7-zip because I want to expose it. And ChatGPT's like, there's an issue with doing a LZMA stream to trigger a buffer overflow condition in RC norm function. There you go. The guy's like, whoa, I didn't know this. He posted on Twitter. He's proud. He has found the 7-day 0. The developer comes out and says, this is nonsense. We don't use that application. Yeah. So the ChatGPT effectively made up a 0-day. The developer looked at what it said and says it's utter nonsense. Now, I think one of the other articles, this is what it says down here. There's no RC norm function in the LZMA decoder. Instead, 7-zip contains RC norm macro and LZMA encoder and PPMD decoder. Thus, LZMA decoding does not call RC norm, and the statement about RC norm in the exploit comment is simply not true. And so, the AI hallucinated and told the whole world that a very popular Zip application is malicious. I actually think the developer should probably sue the guy and maybe the chat system for doing this type of thing. This is, I mean, yes, in the court of law, there's two elements. You have to prove an intent and you have to prove harm. And so was he just being stupid or did he intend to cause some harm? I guess if he just was using ChatGPT and didn't intend to do him harm and was simply an idiot, court case would probably fail. But I think ChatGPT should probably prevent the guy from using its service because apparently he can't be trusted. So I don't know. There's the thought. This one here I had to rail on for quite a bit. Here's why Google Gemini's AI getting proper memory could save lives. This person is an idiot. I'm going to preface this article by saying the person who wrote this is an idiot. That is my opinion, I should actually say. Anyway, so what is going on here? First, about the overall premise. Google's Gemini AI is getting memory. This means that in the past, when you've used Gemini, after you're done with your session, it just kind of sort of forgets the things you talked about, which is very odd for Google. Admittedly, now they're pushing out a change, and it is now going to remember everything about you inside of your accounts. It's going to remember how you talk. It's going to remember all the various elements. It's going to remember the various proclivities and things like this. And so it will constantly adapt itself to you as you are using it. And so he goes into effectively what this is. And then first he starts out about, there's all these people saying this is Armageddon. Those humans love a good Armageddon. Heck, I'd be fantasizing over the last 300,000 years from Ragnarok to the apocalypse to the end times. Every major fantasy blockbuster littered with mass destruction in between. We're obsessed. We just love bad news. That's the sad truth. And whatever genetic reason it may be. Now, it's called a sin nature. It's not genetics. It's sin. Anyway, now he goes off and he gets into all this and he's kind of talking about all this. Let's praise AI now. And then he gets into this. This is very interesting. I'm going to read a couple of these paragraphs because I just had to stop and what the hell is this guy thinking? Why is this so positive? He says, we're quoting the article here. Well, I know it's cliche for some. I know we use this term quite a lot, perhaps a very nonchalant way that it devalues it as a phrase, but we're in the midst of a loneliness epidemic. That might sound ridiculous, but studies suggest on average, social isolation and loneliness can lead to an increase all-cause mortality by anywhere between 1.08 and 1.48x. And he cites an article from 2013. That's astonishingly high. In fact, a number of case studies now confirm loneliness and social isolation increase the likelihood of cardiovascular disease, stroke, depression, dementia, alcoholism, anxiety, and can even lead to greater chance of a variety of cancers. So that whole paragraph, why is this positive? He did not mention anything about positive. He asked in the paragraph, why is this positive? And then listed this loneliness epidemic. And then this is about the loneliness epidemic. He's talking about modern society helps contribute. He talks about the destruction of the family unit, because, God did say build the family unit, just saying. And then he talks about childhood safety. He talks about divorce and breakups and being widowed. He talks another paragraph about being lonely. Now, of course, cofactors talk about making difference. Lonely, lonely, lonely. We're all lonely. We're all socially lonely. And this is where he gets into why this is saving lives, allegedly. AI chatbots, we're quoting again, AI chatbots and LLMs are designed to engage and converse with you. They can alleviate these problems and allow those who suffer from loneliness an opportunity to practice interacting with people without the fear of rejection. Having a capable memory of holding on to conversational details is key to making that reality, taking a step further with AI becoming a bona fide companion. So this guy wants to solve the loneliness epidemic by having you talk alone in a room to a computer. I'm going to tell you a fun story from college, my college days, because I was a absolutely crazy social outcast. In fact, when Teraffitin spoke about me being this lonely guy, it's not true, but it was when I was in college. Okay. It was a long time. In fact, I had such an impeccable fear of people. I looked at your shoes, not your face, universally. And I had it was my first advisor when I was still in the biology department, right? And so I go in, and every time he had office hours, I had to sit down with him and work on my schedule for the next semester. He had office hours when I had class. So I would go into the office, just see if he's around anywhere. And I don't really even know what he looks like, so that's difficult. So I go in once, I look around, and I go turn on to leave. I'm in the mailroom area for the faculty department. And there is a professor, Professor Perkins. I remember her to this day because this woman absolutely knew how to break Tom out of his loneliness shell. She says, "Are you looking for something?" I said, "Well, I'm looking for my advisor. He has office hours and I have class." She says, "Well, leave a note and put it in the mailbox." "No, I'll come back later." She says, "No, there's a piece of paper right there. There's a pencil right there. His mailbox is right there. Write a note and leave it in there. I'm not letting you out of this room until you do it." I'm now being confronted by a strong woman. So I wrote down a little note. "Hey, this is Tom. You have office hours during, I have classes during all your office hours. I need to meet about schedule. Can you send me an email? We'll set up a time." Put it in there. And I run out of there. I've been confronted by a woman, And wouldn't you know it, that day I get an email. "Hey, this is your advisor. I looked at your class schedule. Would this time work? Hey, sounds great. I'll be here." Awesome. That was the one thing that it wasn't the only thing. It was that first tiny crack that opened up the loneliness, but it was caused by interacting with people, not with a machine. In fact, when we know a person interacts with a machine to this level, you know what happens? Character.ai happens. And the machines start telling kids to do disturbing things, leading to the fact that they have at least 2 lawsuits against them right now for leading children in the bad ways. This guy thinks talking to a LLM that can remember your conversation is going to solve your loneliness condition. No, it's going to intensify it, because now you're going to isolate yourself with the ChatGPT, the only thing that will not possibly reject you, because the rejection is what causes the strength to allow you to grow beyond your means. It's going to be there. This is a nonsense article. Of course, he gets down to the bottom and, talking about how solving the loneliness epidemic is going to save you from a heart attack. So did you know that talking to ChatGPT, this is Gemini AI, talking to Google's Gemini AI, and Gemini's, the Gemini AI will now remember everything about these conversations. This is going to prevent you from having a heart attack. No. Touch grass, people. We didn't do a Thursday show last night because I happened to be in town with a friend, in a town that I have a friend that lives there. And I went out and I toured his university where he teaches, and we had a nice meal and we had hours of great conversation. I didn't get a video up for tomorrow because I went through another town where I have another friend where we went out to meet with coffee for a few hours and had some great conversation. I'm not going to solve loneliness problems by talking to a computer. It's not going to happen. Touch grass, folks. Touch grass. If you want to hear about some of the negative consequences of spending too much time with computers, have a look at my new book, Code Red. TLM.li/Code Red. And this is last season's short stories, dark tales from technology. These tech companies give us all of this amazing technology, and they feed us all of the amazing positive things that comes out of it. They fail to tell us all the negative. They're like, "Look at this little device. You can put this little device on your keys and you'll never lose your keys again." Until the criminals look at it and go, "Yeah, I could put that thing on my girlfriend's car and know where she's always at." Yeah, they don't tell us about those types of things. So we have 10 stories about dark tales from technology that are all based on actual real technologies and actual real laws coming into effect. We cover things like the Vietnamese just released a new ID system in 2024 requiring a central database that has a blood sample, DNA sample, fingerprint sample, biometric data all on you, and any government access can use it. Well, gee, I hope there's no corrupt people in the government. They know how to stage crimes, don't they? Very interesting. But you can have a look at those types of stories and other things like that on my new book, Code Red, tlm.li/Code Red. And you can see various places. Of course, you can pick that book up, ebook, audiobook, and softcover book. You can pick those up anywhere you buy books online. With that, let's have a look over at business news next. First up in business news, Bench is to be acquired after abruptly shutting down. What is Bench, do you say? Oh, that's right. It's January 1st. That means every small business in the world needs to start working on their accounting. Oh, Bench is a accounting software as a service company that a lot of small businesses were using to do all of their books. And they ran out of money and just shut down. So all of the business owners that were relying on Bench software as a service, I hope you had hard copies. Otherwise, it's going to be a long quarter for you. So Bench shut down. It was a VC-backed accounting startup, left thousands of customers locked out of their accounts when it suddenly shut down last week. Now, it is going to be acquired by Employer.com. This is the good news. So for an undisclosed price in a last-minute deal, which now means Employer.com now has access to all of that financial information on all of these businesses. Guys, this is why I do not use software as a service. I have a tutorial on my channel about GNU Cash. If you're a small business, look at GNU Cash. It is free and open source software that is extraordinarily robust. You can even set it to sync with your bank accounts and do automatic reconciliation if you want to. I don't do that personally, but you can. So use GNU Cash. You do not put your eggs in a basket, and especially don't put something so mission critical to your business inside of some VC-backed accounting startup. But Employer.com buys it. They have said they're going to turn it back on for a short period of time, allowing businesses to log in and download their data. Hopefully they can download it into some type of format that can be input into some other platform here. But customers will be given a choice to port their data or to keep their service under the new ownership. Bench's previous recommendations to file for a 6-month extension. So you're a business. So, you got to do your quarterly taxes. You got to do all this business related stuff. It's my life. Lord help me. I have, about 10 days now to work on quarterlies for federal and state. Leave me those super chats, folks. But anyway, they abruptly shut down right before the end of the year when all these companies need to start bringing in their accountants to start doing their books for preparing for the tax season. What's their advice? Sorry, guys, we ran out of money. We recommend you file for a tax extension, which, by the way, could end up costing you money if you owe the IRS. That could cost you a little bit of money. So stop putting your eggs in these software as a service companies, because they're not guaranteed to be here, especially these startups. They're VC backed, and if the VCs look at this, go, you're not making any money, guys, they're going to pull out of it and the whole thing's going to collapse. I mean, look at that, support service creature, that Moxie that we talked about, of course, the last couple of weeks. At least they're allowing people to open source it, but all these people, it's this emotional support being for your child. Oh, I love my Moxie. Your Moxie's dead, kid. Talk about support child. All right. So customers will be given a choice for this. The Bench's previous recommendations to file for a 6-month extension with the IRS and to look for a new bookkeeper. To look for a new bookkeeper is no longer needed if customers decide to stay on Employer.com. So now that Employer is going to take it on, you don't have to do your extension anymore, but you might have to do something with bookkeeping. I don't know. Bench's website is still offline at the time of the writing. Previously touted more than 35,000 American small-owned business owners. 35,000 American business owners. If any of you are watching this, stop doing that. Use GNU Cash. Stop putting your eggs in all these companies' baskets. Stop putting all your business finances on cloud services. Take care of it yourself, you know. So Employer.com told TechCrunch that Bench had approximately 12,000 customers. So according to their website, the VC-backed website looking for sales, they had 35,000, but the company that bought it, that got a chance to peer under the hood, says, there's actually only 12,000 in there. So they overinflated their numbers 3 times. I'm sorry. I think those VCs might very well sue the company for misrepresenting the numbers. That's possible if they're doing this. More information about how to continue your services will be available soon. The startup's abrupt shutdown on Friday caused chaos, with customers finding themselves locked out of their accounts right as tax season is set to begin. Employer.com is also a new company, by the way. CEO Jesse Tinsley announced his acquisition of the domain name in November for $450,000. Tinsley is behind the host of HR, onboarding, and recruiting job-relating businesses, including Recruiter.com and Bounty Jobs. In a post in December 11th, Tinsley said the company is still acquiring companies in the HR space. Employer.com is not VC-backed. It is entirely self-funded. So at least they have, well, it depends, you know. They don't have a bunch of VCs behind them that could pull the plug immediately, but what is the source of all of their funding, I guess, is the question. So the challenge we have here is that if you're putting all of your eggs in these baskets and they abruptly go, you know, Murphy's Law says they go at the worst possible time. A small business accounting software as a service company that closes at the end of December is a really bad time. Like, it couldn't possibly go any worse. So, yeah, don't put your eggs in those baskets. Once again, GNU Cash, and I have tutorials on getting started with small businesses on GNU Cash. All right, I wanted to include this tragedy in here because it's just an illustration of the stupidity of these some of these influencers and things. And I have an interesting new solution to these types of effects. So it says teen driver. It was a 19-year-old woman. So we say teenager, but, you know, kind of the same way that there's, you know, all these kids killing kids with all these firearms. Yeah, the vastest majority of those are like 19-year-old gangbangers. Okay. In this case, yes, it is a teenager. She's 19, so this is a legal adult we're talking about. In Minnesota, is messing around with was it Snapchat? With Snapchat, recording a video on Snapchat, driving down the road, missed a stop sign, rolled a school bus full of children. She was going 50 miles an hour when she slammed into the bus full of kids. The bus rolls into the embankment, ends up overturning. I don't believe any children died, but there were several broken bones and over half the bus bruises, scrapes, and other injuries. Basically injured an entire bus full of kids for Snapchat. And here's my thought about this. Let me know if you guys agree. You know, if you happen to be a P word engaging in CSAM and you're caught with such things, they like, you know what? You're just not allowed near computers once you're allowed back into society. Throw you in this little cage for a little while. And then when we let you out of the cage into society, you must figure out how to live in society without technology. Good plan. Like it. I have a sneaky suspicion that people like this crazy woman and the guy we talked about last week who went in and stole Raid, you know, the bug killer, and sprayed it all over food at Walmart for clicks on TikTok. I think that if you are committing some form of heinous crime like this and you're caught doing that and it's found guilty and you either go to jail or plea out and say, yeah, it was a felony. You know what? I happen to think that just like the sea salmon enjoyers, I think that maybe all of these influencers doing stupid stuff, causing harm and injury to others, they should likewise not be allowed near technology anymore. I'm sorry. You can't be responsible. You're not allowed a phone. You're not allowed a computer. You're not allowed the internet. You're not allowed a social media profile. You get to touch grass for the rest of your life. Let me know if you agree with that general policy. Maybe we can get that going on. So when these pranksters are running around with their prank channels, pulling pranks on people who don't want to be recorded by all these morons in the video world anyway, and they come down and they end up doing something stupid that, like the case in Virginia, gets the dude shot because he's literally harassing a guy who ends up shooting him because he doesn't see any other option. I don't think that guy should be allowed on the internet anymore. You apparently can't be trusted on the internet. That's my thought. Maybe we all need to write our congressman and suggest such a law that says if you are some form of social media influencer and you are either highly negligent and hurt an entire school bus full of children, or a steel bug killer to spray all over food at Walmart, or maybe start harassing people down the road, maybe you just shouldn't be trusted to have the internet anymore. And you get to touch grass for the rest of your life. Maybe you might even turn into a better human being. Let me know if you guys agree in the comments. And on to our last article here today. We have the first mini PC compatible with Copilot Plus requirements. And it does look like the Apple Mini 4, except I will note that the power button is on the front. You don't actually have to lift this thing off your desk to turn it on and off. Why do people think Apple's a good company? But hey, this is an Asus, and the power button's right there on the front. You can just push the power button without having to lift the thing up. It's amazing. So this guy here, it's a Nuke, of course, and the Asus Nuke 14 Pro AI is powered with the Core Ultra 9 CPU. And it is a little bit smaller than the Mac Mini, and it is aimed at a business-to-business market. We don't have pricing yet. Probably pretty pricey. But this guy here does have, the Core Ultra 9 CPU, but it does have the NPU. Therefore, it is qualified as a Copilot Plus PC. So yes, this thing here will take pictures of all of your credit card numbers and commit HIPAA violations. But outside of that, for those that are looking for something with an NPU for whatever reason, whether it's Copilot or, hey, Ubuntu is actually working on a distro that's taking advantage of the NPU as well. So, and once that happens, then we're going to see other distributions following suit as well. So if you are looking for one such computer, we are seeing some of these mini PCs in the Nuke format, which are coming out. And they do have a good number of ports here. They say this mini PC supports up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, featuring a single M2 2280 PCI generation 4x4 slot and an NVMe SSD storage capabilities ranging from 256 up to 2 terabytes. So they have a power switch on the front, not on the bottom, on the front. Dedicated Copilot button, a Thunderbolt 4 DisplayPort 2.1, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A, and an audio jack. Ooh, fun. Audio jacks becoming rare. Rear panels of Thunderbolt for DisplayPort, 2 USB Gen 2 Type A's, and those ones are 10 gigabit per second, an HDMI port, and a 2.5 gig LAN jack, LAN port, and then some Thunder ports and HDMI for the mini PC. So up to 3 4K screens this guy has. Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.4, and built-in surveillance technology. That's microphones and speakers, But anyway, lots of cool stuff over there. So if you are looking for one such thing, keep an eye out for that, although likely to be a little bit pricey. But hey, maybe the prices will ultimately come down. With that, folks, let's go on over to your favorite place and mine. Let's see what kind of crazy things are going on in SillyVille. And first up, guys, this one is a little political, but I just had to include it because Mexico is rolling out a panic button app for illegal immigrants in the U.S. who are about to be detained or deported. Yeah, so here's the thing on the immigration debate. Nobody, okay, the vast majority of people don't care if there's immigration. Immigration is a fine thing. We just have to have a cap on it, and you got to do it legally. This coming into the country and just claiming asylum, I think just needs to stop. We need to stop. If you're going to come into this country, I want you to be able to speak English because that is the language of this country. I want you to make an attempt to assimilate into the country, and I want you to already be able to take care of yourself. We cannot be taking care of everybody. Okay, we can't do it. We have more national debt than anybody else. We can't keep taking care of everybody. We can't do it. And what's implicit in this is that Mexico, this is an official Mexican government application. What Mexico is saying is, yeah, we know there's a whole bunch of people there illegally. We're not talking legal immigration. We're talking illegally here. So we're going to create an app that's a panic button. So if you think that you're stopped and, I'm going to be detained, you can push the panic button app on your phone, and then that is going to alert your friends and your lawyers and everybody else and your local consulate that you're about to be detained by ICE. Oh my God. If the local consulate helps an illegal person in the country, I think the local consulate might need to be deported too. You're here illegally. Go home. Come in legally. Really, come in legally. We are welcome to have you when you legally come. But now we have this app, and you click the panic button, and it's going to alert a bunch of people that you want to be alerted. That the officially Mexican government, courtesy of the Mexican Office of Foreign Affairs, will act as a panic button for illegals who fear they're about to be detained and deported. I'm wondering what's going to happen with that app come January 21st or something. I don't know. Anyway, on to better silly news that's not political. This here is a new take on Captcha. Now, I had a little problem with this because I tried to play this Captcha several times, and I kept getting killed until I had guys on the call last night telling me how to win this thing. Okay. So this is not a good Captcha. I would not get past this thing. I'd be like, I give up. I give up, I've probably seen worse ones, but now this is a Captcha DOOM. You have to kill 3 zombies before you can move on. And you can play the Captcha on the website here. So over here, it's downloading all the data, and now we have to kill at least 3 monsters. So we gotta tap to play, and then so the problem is they picked a really hard map. So if you come up here, you get this thing, and I just keep on dying. Like, run away, I'm gonna die, right? Look at it, I died. So, but what the guys told me is you just need to shoot once so the zombies come to you, and now you just sit back here where they can't hit you as much. There you go, I killed 2. You can see on the bottom of the screen. Let's see. Oh, there you go. I solved the Captcha. Look at that, guys. I solved the Captcha. So now you too, if you want to play Doom, you can solve Captchas all day long. So there is our silly news for the week. Isn't that awesome? Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page. You can join us over there, patreon.com/TOMM. That will help support all my different channels. And if you are here a while, or maybe you're new, we are relaunching our Writing Done Right channel. There's one up here on the right. We haven't updated to it regularly for a couple years. But I just decided that it is the time to launch back. We are trying to launch 1 video per week on that on Saturday morning. So you can subscribe over there to Writing Done Right. Of course, we have our Christian stuff. And of course, over here on the Linux and technology. You can jump on over there. Of course, we do have the book. Code Red is over there. If you are a $5 a month or higher on Patreon, you can download the audiobook or the ebook for free. If you are $1 or a free member over on Patreon, you can pick it up there as well. In addition to getting it other places also. So just be aware of that. But patreon.com/TOMM. Thank you for watching, and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.